Welcome to the Game Informer Show, a weekly gaming podcast releasing every Thursday. I am your host, Alex Stadnik, and as always, I'm honored to be joined by the illustrious Alex Van Aken.
Hello, Alex. Thank you for having me. It's been a week, but I'm glad that we can sit down and talk about games.
Bro, it's been a week. We'll get into it. So join us each episode alongside a rotating crew of GI editors and special guests from across the industry as we bring you the latest gaming news, reviews, and all the big man swag your eyes and ears can handle. This week, we're breaking down our thoughts on Alan Wake Remastered, Life is Strange, and Tales of Arise. But first, let me introduce the panel. We are joined. Look, we got a crew here, ladies and gentlemen. We got the one and only K Star, Kimberly Wallace, RPG Queen. Hello.
Yeah, it's good to be back, man. It's been a while.
Hello. Yeah, I don't know if we've had you on since Alex and I took over.
No. Where'd you hide Ben's body?
Forget about it. There's a reason I had to move. I'll just say that. So, and of course, you know him, you love him. Look at that face. He's a beautiful man. Jay Guisao. Hello, sir.
Hello. Hi. Happy to be here.
I am so happy to have you. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there.
It wasn't the start of your first week at new semester at school?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you're exhausted, probably.
I'm exhausted for sure. Yeah, there's like a lot of classes to attend. We're in person, so I'm commuting to Brooklyn. So I'm out of the house for a couple hours, which is a nice change of pace. But yeah, a little tired, but still, like I said before, I'm happy to be here. Always glad to talk about games.
Good. Because today is a very special treat. On top of the games, we also have a very, very special guest. Let's give a warm welcome to Riana Manuel, Director of Brand at I almost said Game Informer. Not yet. We'll get her one day. G4 TV. Thank you, Riana. Hello.
Hello. Really excited to have this conversation, and it's good to see your familiar faces. And can't wait to hear about the spooky game that I did not play.
Now, you and Mr. Van Aken go back, correct?
We do. We go back almost into the womb, one could say.
Yeah. You were working. I was like podcasting with my stepdad at the time, and we met at an event
Pixel
for
Pulse Radio.
Yeah, we met at an event for Kind of Funny. I think Blessing from Kind of Funny introduced us. Yeah, that was 4 or 5 years ago, and now we're here. Rihanna's a badass, top of G4, killing it, and she's joining us on the show. I'm excited.
Yeah, who would have thought?
I know. Look at us now.
Not me. I know.
I messed up the meme. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We got there. It's late. It's okay. Rihanna, can you? I learned about your work through What's Good Games, but do you want to talk a little bit about your journey through this wild world we call video games journalism, and now on the branding side of things?
Yeah, it's funny because those who know my full story know I came in a strange side door into gaming. I was originally in healthcare and absolutely hated it. Wanted to completely change my career. Did a huge network blast and said, hey, everybody, I need to get the hell out of Pennsylvania. And the one and only thing I want to do now is work in video games. And I landed over at Xbox and have been there for a while. Most recent titles that I supported on the marketing side were Ori 1 and 2, Tell Me Why, Flight Simulator, and a couple of other ones over there that I'm not in the credits on. And then Blair Herter sent me a little message and was like, hey, have you heard of G4? And I was like, are you kidding? Yeah. And he definitely snatched me up, and now I'm over there.
That's amazing. So how did you, in that journey then, how did you land at What's Good Games? And for those who don't know, What's Good Games is another YouTube content, podcast content site that does some amazing work. So definitely check them out if you hadn't.
Yeah, it's funny because I met What's Good Games the same way I met Alex, is all the Kind of Funny events and PAX West in Seattle. So a good friend of mine said, like, hey, What's Good Games is this pretty cool podcast. I think you'd be into it. And when I heard that they were doing events at PAX in Seattle, I was like, oh, I could help. They're doing an event at the Unicorn right around from where I lived in Capitol Hill. And I reached out to Brittany Brombacher and got on the list of people to hand out stuff as people came through the door. And basically, I just never stopped talking to them.
That's amazing. That's really cool. So, and you said that you worked on Tell Me Why, correct? Mm-hmm. So have you gotten a chance to play? We'll get to Life is Strange, but I'm curious, like, what was that experience like? Was there any highlights? Like what was your time like on that? What did you do for the game and that kind of stuff?
So many highlights. Way too many to share here, Alex. The Tell Me Why team is pretty unique. They're under the publishing group in Microsoft Xbox Marketing, and they handpick the titles that they publish. And it's a real treat and a rare treat for a big box publisher like Xbox to really select the stories that speak to us. And one of the things that I loved about the story of Tell Me Why and how Tell Me Why came to life is that the team went to Alaska. They met with people to create Delos Crossing based on true Indigenous folks and people who lived in that rural town. They had trans voice actors for all of the lead characters who was a trans man. They really did the work to make sure that the story represented the people that they were trying to portray. And the marketing reflected that. We tried to be as transparent as we could, tried to prepare people for the story as best we could. And I, as the lead marketer, created an ARG where people would literally solve a mystery by putting clues together. And that's what you do in the game. So yeah, there's lots and lots of stories, but more than anything, I'm just grateful for the experience and the care that the team took to bring it to life.
For sure. That's amazing. And last question, then we can get into the news of the day. What's your day-to-day like at G4? What are you doing? What's it like being a part of this exciting revival of something I know I grew up with, right? I can't speak for everyone on the team here, but that was, X-Play and Cheat were my afternoons,
Yeah, absolutely. Especially for me as an only child growing up, my brother and sister are way older. I needed Cheat because I didn't have any help to get through the hard levels. Usually you hand off the controller, right? No, I grew up with G4 too, and the day-to-day is like a lot of people, I'm remote. So sitting in this chair with this camera and this microphone pretty much the entire time. Lots of meetings. As director of brand, I help guide all of the content that goes up on our soon-to-be-revealed website. I'm developing our launch campaign, creating interstitials, making sure that we're saying the right things in the right places. And then another thing that's just really near and dear to my heart is our fundraising efforts, which we've been able to do a lot even in this pre-launch phase. And I'm proud to say we've raised over $600,000 so far for charity across all of our different initiatives in the last year.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so more to come on G4, and you'll be hearing news about a return soon.
I was gonna say it's just us. So if you wanted to tell us when the TV
we're definitely not recording.
We won't tell anyone. I promise.
Yeah, just break it here casually.
Yeah. If Blair wants to come on too, we got more than enough room. Like we can bring him on. So yeah. Well, Riana, thank you so much for joining us. Like I said, I've been looking forward to this. I know the whole team has. So let's talk about games, shall we? And I think the news of the week, obviously, we're recording before PlayStation.
Yeah.
We'll have content for you, we promise. It's going to be great. Horizon 3, God of War 6 is going to be there. It's going to be a whole thing.
They brought back Sly Cooper, too. Remastered, remade. He's back. I mean, I'd be very happy with that.
Bro, if you're right for tomorrow, you're going to be on some Nostradamus stuff. But let's go to the news section, right? The news that we actually know about. And I think we started the week off with a pretty big bang in that Alan Wake, after years of teasing and like being like, hey, controls in a shared universe, like wink, wink, nudge, nudge, is finally coming back in Alan Wake Remastered, which is one of the first published games from the partnership with Remedy and Epic, if I believe I'm right on that. I may be wrong. Who knows? I'm sure you'll correct me in the comments. But pulling from our article that Marcus Stewart wrote, it's going to include the DLC expansions. It's going to be in 4K. It is a remaster, not a remake. So don't expect some Final Fantasy VII remake treatment. But I'm okay with that because I have only played the first hour of this game on replay, which was mean of Andrew Reiner to make me do. Not a fan of the spooky games, but here we are. Kim, I know you're a fan. Are you excited about this? Like, where's your hype at for this?
It's been a while since I've played it, so I'm excited to play it again and kind of see how it lives up. Alan Wake really shows you how scary writer's block is, and that's something I deal with daily. So I hope, to go back and experience that again. But I think a lot of people hear about Alan Wake now and are just like, I missed out on it, right? Like, I didn't get to play it. They obviously, Control blew up for Remedy, and this is the perfect opportunity now. I mean, I think that DLC that I like, American Nightmare, was it called, or something?
I believe so.
That soundtrack is so damn good. I'm just excited for everybody to kind of see the crazy things that Remedy was doing even before. You know, for those who don't know, Alan Wake, he travels for vacation with his wife. He's dealing with some writer block, trying to write his novel. She goes missing. Who would have thunk it? And then all you have is your little flashlight with the light to, like, you know, survive. And you explore things. And if you like what Remedy was doing in Control with some of its, like, Twin Peaks callbacks and all that, you'll enjoy Alan Wake. I will say that.
For sure. Yeah, I'm definitely in the boat where I missed it purposely on the first run through, but now I think Alex and I talked about this.
Are you strong enough now? Are you strong enough to take it on?
We both beat Resident Evil this year. Like, I think we
okay,
can handle
if you did that, you can handle. Alan Wake is more a supernatural thriller than anything else, so I don't think it'll scare you too bad.
Okay, I think I'll be good. I also did Little Nightmares 2, which has one of the scariest freaking sequences I've played.
See, dude, you've come so far. You are fine. I'm proud of you.
I'm now a degenerate who likes horror. I don't know. So, Alex, I know you have not played this, correct? Too. And Jay and Rihanna, you guys are new to this, right? Where's your levels of hype, Alex? We can start with you.
Yeah, I've watched. This is one of those games I've seen streamed so many times, because it's been out for so long. I've never played it myself, but I really always liked watching other people interact with, like, the light and shadow mechanics with the flashlight. And, like, if I'm remembering it right, you have to shine them with the flashlight. They get weakened, and then you can. Yeah, I always thought that was really cool.
And you find pages of your manuscript as you search.
Oh, that I didn't know that. That's really cool too. And yeah, I feel like I could handle it. And I've always kind of been curious. Maybe is this coming to Steam? Maybe this is like a Steam Deck title for me later.
Let's see. I'll pull up
I pulled it up.
Oh,
PC as an Epic Store exclusive. So I'll have to install Windows 10 on my yet to be released Steam Deck, and then I'll play Alan Wake.
Okay. I'll hold you to that, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Jay, how about you?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think, sort of like most of us here, I haven't played it either. I don't really have, like, a lot of experience or knowledge into what the game's all about, but based on, like, footage and, like, trailers that I saw when I was younger, like, you know, it looks pretty atmospheric. It looks a little reminiscent of Silent Hill. I don't know, maybe I'm, like, making that up a little bit, like, just like that sort of, like,
there's fog.
Yeah, like, yeah, I don't know. That's the first thing that comes to my mind, I guess, when I think of, like, the old school, like, Silent Hill games. But I don't know. It looks interesting. I'm also not really big into horror games, but I'm always willing to try. I couldn't make it through Resident Evil, so let's see what happens with this. Yeah, sadly.
It was the dollhouse, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was a lot of things, right? Like, even the first couple of minutes with, like, all, like, the lichens on the roofs and stuff. Like, it was a lot for me, you know. So
you felt bad about the hand. I get it.
Sure, the meme, okay.
Deadass, the only reason I got through that first part with the lichens in the village is because we did the cover video, and we got those first 12 minutes, so I knew where those guys were coming from. I knew where the lichens were coming from, so I was like,
yeah.
This feels like a cheat, but I'm here for it, and it got me through it. So, Rihanna, how about you?
Yeah, very, very similarly. I shy away from the spoopy games, so I did not hit round 1 on Alan Wake. But I am a big fan of Remedy. You know, I enjoy the Max Payne games. I like the Quantum Break treatment. I know that's sort of a hit or miss game for a lot of people. So, you know, K-Star, I'm a little older. Like, maybe I can take it. I don't know. Like, I'll give it a shot. Maybe you'll be proud of me too. We'll see.
Yeah. Let me know if you get through it. I like give you all some candy or something.
Oh,
perfect. Yeah.
Let's
do it for all. When is it coming out? We haven't talked about this.
We don't know yet, according to Marcus's article. It just says PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, and Xbox One.
They need to hit that October.
That
frame.
Feels right. I mean, here's the deal: we only got 4 more months left in the year, 3 more months of the year, and
why
they
is
said
it
it's
already
this year.
September? What's going on here? That's why I'm like, if it was October, they would have probably said it already, but. I kind of feel like they're missing an opportunity by not releasing that in October. That's when people want to play a game like that.
Yeah. So we'll see. Rihanna, maybe we'll bring you back. We'll do a stream, see if we all can handle it. You know, Kim can grade us there.
Yes. I will like be that guide, you know, the one person in the haunted house who like everyone has to follow, who goes up first. That's always
You're my
me.
favorite person in a haunted
That's
house.
always me. And I'm sitting there laughing as everybody else is just like, what I grew up on really scary movies. It was a thing in my household. Like my parents they were making me watch It when I was like 5. So
oh my God.
Poltergeist, all that. Like nothing. It takes a lot to scare me. But there are some times where jump scares will get me. I think one got me in Resident Evil, and it was like 2 or 3 in the morning. I was playing, and my fiance is like, he sleeps like a log, but it woke him up, and he's like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "Nothing, nothing."
Go back to bed.
I was like, "He must have had a bad dream. It wasn't me."
Not to take it in a whole different direction because we are Game Informer, but so ABC Family, rest in peace, used to do like 31 Nights of Horror or whatever. It's Freeform. Yeah, that's what it is now. This is a network called ABC Family, and they're showing It on it, the clown movie. And me as a dumb kid, I was like, of course it's spooky. I like Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin, sure, I'll watch that. And then never mind. It's a whole thing. It scarred me for life.
The one that always for me was Chucky, because what is more terrifying than your doll coming to life? And I was so mad that my parents let me watch that as a kid because like I could handle everything, but the freaking that Chucky doll. It's freaking terrifying.
Well, now you know all of our deepest fears.
He's coming back. Why do they keep bringing this damn doll back? I want it to go away.
I don't know what to tell you. Don't watch it, I guess. I don't know. Oh, man. I said we'd do a quick news section. Here we are.
Sorry.
Anyway. So, no, I'm happy. The show's going well so far. So, Alan Wake, platforms listed. Should be a good time. Hopefully hits sometime this year. So, moving on, but the topic of the show, that was my drum roll. Like I said, it's very late. I apologize. Tales of Arise. Have you heard of it? You're about to, because Jay Guisao laying it down, reviewing the game for us. Jay, tell us about it.
I will tell you all about Tales of Arise. So just a little bit of background for myself. Like, I haven't played a ton of Tales games. The last game I think I played was Tales of Graces F, which feels like forever ago. Yeah, right, exactly, right, forever ago. But I just know just from my history with that game, and also just catching up, like just researching the games just for the review as well. The Tales series has always kind of been about friendship and like just companionship, and sort of also characters realizing their inner insecurities and sort of overcoming that throughout these like ridiculously like high like fantasy stories and everything. And Tales of Arise, just compared to my previous experience with the franchise, is a really like a far more mature story. It deals with some really heavy topics, including racism and slavery and whatnot. And interestingly enough, I think it handles these topics really well by sort of placing characters that are in two different factions. You have the Renans and the Danans, and you have characters from those two different factions sort of coming together to create like this new like harmonious world for a bunch of different reasons that I probably won't get into just for spoilers and whatnot. But I mean, the game is just fantastic. It has some really incredible like story beats that are like very moving. It's also really campy at times, which is kind of what the Tales brand is, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly, right? So you're gonna have like the little cute like corny moments, but you're also gonna have moments where you chuckle with characters around a campfire sharing a meal and stuff like that. I love stuff like that, and then there's like the real which is going to be like the combos that you perform while in combat and whatnot. And I know you've played a little bit of it, Stadnik, as well. I mean, the combos are just incredible. You're just juggling all these enemies. There's all these like different cutscenes, like boost attacks. So you like click a button on the directional pad, and then another character comes in out of nowhere and like does this crazy kick. And then you have like two characters who come together to do a combo together. And it's just incredible to look at. And the maturity of the story sort of melds into the combat, but also just into the visuals as well. Like, this is a huge facelift for the series. The worlds look gorgeous. You're in these sizzling canyons. You're in these winter wastelands. You're in these like lands of just like verdant green. And it's just gorgeous all around. And it's just been a blast to play and to get to know these characters better. And to sort of like cry and like laugh alongside them as well. So any JRPG fans out there, any fans out there who've really wanted something like more revitalizing for the Tales series, I'm like telling you, like Arise is it. Like this is the next step for this franchise, and so far it is my game of the year for
Dang.
sure. So,
Yeah,
I brought it out. I brought it out.
baby.
Bring it
Woo!
to
There we
life,
go,
baby.
baby.
Oh yeah, Jay coming out big swinging. I love it.
Exactly. No, yeah, it's fantastic. I love the game so much. So
I love it. That's the kind of energy we love on the GI show here. Yeah, I am nowhere near as far into it as Jay. I believe you beat it, correct? Yeah, you're writing the review. Of course you beat it. Yeah, I'm only through the first chapter, but I am incredibly shocked by how much I'm enjoying it. Not to say I was like hating on it, thinking it was going to be bad or anything like that. But the only experience I have with Tales was Tales of Symphonia that my friend's older brother was playing while I just wanted to play Kingdom Hearts in their basement. That's my only experience with it. So I went into this relatively blind. We did the cover, right? But we didn't do video for it. So I was like, okay, what's this going to be like? You know, I like JRPGs. I'm not where, you know, you are, Kim, and you are, Jay, in my fandom for them, but like, you know, it's growing on me a little bit. But the combat is so action heavy, and it really, like, I was digging it at the start. I was like, okay, you know, there's some interesting commands here. I could see myself liking this. And then they added the boost attacks where you call in your allies into the fight, and the abilities just kind of grow from there.
Yeah,
and it's just hyper like crazy fun. I didn't Jay, you're gonna have to help me here. Shion, yes. Right? Yeah, I remember that from Kingdom Hearts. See, we're piecing it together. I haven't loved Shion's moveset yet. Her gun is very slow, and I don't know if that changes.
No, yeah. Sorry, no, her gun does stay pretty slow throughout. Like what I've found interesting about Shion is that when you're like first playing the game and you just have Alphen and Shion is sort of fills like the healer role. So you'll probably spend most of your time just insta-locked on Alphen because, you know, like everybody likes swinging the big fire sword and everything, right? But as you start unlocking more characters and filling out your party, Shion sort of takes this like arts casting role. Arts are like the magic within the Tales series for anyone who doesn't know much about the franchise. But Shion sort of takes on this like second heavy hitting like arts casting role where she can also shoot from long range. And what I've also realized, and maybe this is also why you might not like the shooting mechanics and how slow the gun is usually those basic attacks, we'll call them those, the base attacks that you do, they're just there to sort of help you chain your arts and your stronger abilities at the end of the day. So you want to chain combos as high as you can so that you can build your boost attacks in a much faster manner. But I don't know. I kind of like the idea of instead of holding down the trigger and you shoot like a fully auto weapon, I kind of like the idea of like clicking it. It sort of feels I don't know, like the analog control of it. It just feels like it fits in with like I'm counting each button, so I know like the combo modifier is going up like dependent on the buttons I'm pressing, so I know exactly when to cast an art to sort of boost the combo up. If that makes any sense, I know I'm going off on a tangent.
This is almost sounding like close to a fighting game in terms of.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, the inputs.
So yeah, that's what the Tales combat is known for, and what it does.
I had no idea.
Well. Yeah.
Huh.
With like whiffs of Final Fantasy VII Remake is what I'll say. Is kind of the combo I was getting from it, which I loved Final Fantasy VII Remake. So
for sure. Yeah.
So and correct me if I'm wrong, but do you start to unlock different characters as you go to who can help boost or help in those boost attacks, Jay?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, most of the characters, I believe, have been revealed already just within trailers, and Kim has also written some really great stories, and the characters are in there as well. But the characters are unlocked as you progress through the story itself, and they sort of fit within each narrative section, and they kind of come like pretty early in the story too. I know some people don't really like to get like new characters towards the end, and I don't really blame them, but they come pretty early in the story so that you have like this full party and you get to learn each character like over the span of like 100 hours, you know. And each character has their own perks and abilities. for instance, one of my favorite characters, Rinwell, is like your number one like mage character. She has like literally the grimoire with all the spells in it and everything. She like completely fits the archetype. But one of like her awesome perks is that you can by pressing certain buttons, you can hold on to an art or a magic ability, and you could like sort of put it in your back pocket so that the next time you like when you cast another ability in succession, the one you put in your back pocket immediately comes out, so you don't have to wait for the charge up, and it's even stronger this time around, you know. And it's like each
That's
character
cool.
it
sounds like
so
Samus
dope.
kind of, and I know I'm like making all of these like weird. Yeah, it sounds like Samus and Smash, which sounds awesome.
Yeah, no,
every
it's
character
really cool.
has a perk, which is cool. Like,
Yeah.
there's the martial artist guy. Like the
Cool.
longer you go without getting hit, the more it like charges up his attacks and stuff. So it's what I liked when I played the demos, and I have not played as much as Jay. I played like the whole first chapter and then some stuff in our preview coverage, but each character feels so different that I like switching around to them and adopting different strategies. Like I had a lot of fun with Rinwell as you were talking with her, just because I like to play like a caster role and be further away from the combat. But when I wanted to get in there, that was fun too. And then picking the times to exploit those perks at the right moment, it's just like so satisfying.
Absolutely.
I love it.
No, yeah, it's fantastic. The combat is really streamlined. It's super fast paced too. I think maybe the funniest thing is that the characters will always announce the ability they're using. So you can imagine like you're just spamming these abilities for 5 minutes straight, and it's just like your headphones are just filled with everyone screaming their ability. And it's like it's never like an annoyance, but it's just really funny the whole time doing boss battles. Everyone's just screaming abilities over and over. But yeah, no, it's fantastic in every way for sure.
Me at issue meeting, hey.
Most definitely. Cool. I mean, that's high praise. Your game of the year. You're a discerning fella. So that's big news right there.
Hell yeah.
How much content we talking here, Jay? Like the main story versus side quests, all that? Because I've been curious exactly like how much is there to do in that world beyond the main story, and how many different places will you visit and stuff like that?
Sure. So you're visiting a bunch of different realms. I won't like give it an. I mean, it's 5 realms. You'll get the number like right out the gate.
Yeah.
You'll be visiting a bunch of different realms with each with their own biomes, each with their own sub quests in them. I think there's close to around like 70 subquests, and then you have like your skits, right, which are these sort of like visual novel-esque moments where they're actually fantastic.
The ultimate bonding moments between characters is what I love about this series, and I feel like it does so well, is those little silly bonding moments. But yeah, go ahead.
For sure. I could be overestimating, but there's like a glossary section where you can sort of see like how much you've unlocked of each thing. I think there's like close to like 700 skits or something. So there's like a ridiculous amount of character building just alone. And that's like before you start like exploring and looking for like going through every nook and cranny in each area. I want to say like 100% completion, which sounds ridiculous after playing it, but like definitely something I'm interested in. I would say, over 100 hours. For sure. The campaign in and of itself, I was really taking my time with it. And when I was halfway through it, or at least what I thought was halfway through at the time, I want to say like, and this is really taking my time with, I want to say I was maybe 30, 40 hours in at that point. Yeah. So.
Are there character quests? Like quests that pertain to specific characters?
No. I mean, like from what I've played through, and this is sort of like I also was sort of fast tracking through some of the side quests as well. Most of the side quests that you'll have to complete are usually just for NPC characters that are just sort of littered around in the world and everything. So yeah.
Are they more fetch quest style where they're like worth doing to like get items?
They're a little bit fetch questy for sure, and that's one of the interesting things that I'm also like writing in the review. The combat feels so good that like I usually don't mind going out to like kill a bunch of monsters and everything. I usually like just look forward to it because grinding is super important anyway. Like the boss battles are pretty difficult, so like just going back to like quickly beat up a bunch of monsters and sort of get the experience from that usually just helps out in the long run. But every now and then you'll run across like a fetch quest that's like actually that has like a lot of like emotional like weight to it, and I won't really get too much into that, but you do have a lot of characters that are very affected by like the things that you're doing in this world, and also just the history of the world itself, like having these two like people just clashing against each other, this 300-year period of slavery and whatnot. So like a lot of the times you'll be helping out like disenfranchised people and whatnot, sort of going out and defeating monsters so that certain routes can be opened up to like towns again and whatnot. So it does feel like, while there are like quite a few fetch quests and like go here and kill this kind of thing, I don't know, it feels
You don't feel
pretty
the
important.
grind. Make it
Yeah,
sound
exactly.
like.
You
And
don't
that's
feel
the
the
thing.
grind.
I am
Yeah.
fine with that as long as I don't feel the grind. And this is my last geeky question. I know I'm gonna make this run long, but
this is this topic of the show. Let's run with
I
it.
was very interested in that progression system that they have, because it's different than what they've done before. How did the progression system end up, for the entirety of the game? Did you find that it was interesting and that you liked the flexibility that you had to customize the
hmm
characters with the
hmm
different titles and
Right.
picking, the abilities you want to put your points in that you for leveling up? How was that for you?
Oh my gosh, what's so interesting about it is that, one, there are so many titles, and there
Hmm.
are so many abilities that you're unlocking along the way that at times it actually can feel overwhelming, because you only have a certain amount of slots to slot things in for your usable arts while you're in battle and
Hmm.
whatnot. But I think what I really appreciated, that sort of runs parallel to just leveling up your character, like getting your health and like your attack and all those like regular RPG stats up, was just building your proficiency for specific attacks as well.
Hmm.
So you'll have like a number counter, like do this ability 500 times or something, which like sounds like a really lofty number, but when you're like fighting things all the time and you have like that one favorite ability and you're always pressing square or something to use it, like you'll find that you'll hit 500 very easily. But that'll also like increase the strength of those abilities, and sometimes even transform them into something entirely new as well. So
Yes.
I really enjoyed the progression system. There's so much to do. I mean, you're unlocking stuff from just like cooking at camp, which is nice. You know what I mean? Like, so you don't always have to worry about grinding per se. There are a bunch of other things, like you complete a side quest and then all of a sudden you've unlocked a new title for yourself. So the game gives you a lot of like opportunities to just get new abilities, get your stats up, and get all the points that you need to sort of go around and unlock each thing on the checkerboard and whatnot. So yeah.
I actually have a question for you, Jay.
Sure.
How accessible would you say this title is? And I mean that from two perspectives. One, physical features, like what can you tweak in the game to make it easier or more custom to play, depending on what inputs you can manage. And then second, someone like me who's never touched a Tales game, will I be completely overwhelmed?
Oh, that's a hard one. I think it's a bit of a double-edged sword. I think it's very easy for people to come in and get overwhelmed by this game, because it often feels as if Bandai Namco came into here and we're just like, it's just gonna be a big game. We're gonna have a bunch of stuff like everywhere. Like I said before, you have a bunch of titles, you have a bunch of characters. Maybe it's not the most amount of playable characters ever, but the fact that each one is different, it can be really hard to like figure out which ones that you like the most, which ones you want to choose to master. So I would say that it can be a little daunting for someone new to the series, but there are like a ton of tutorials. There's a lot of stuff in the backlog, just text that you can just go through to like relearn certain things. And you can also backtrack to like older areas with this like great fast travel system that they have. So if you're just like stuck at a certain part, you can go back and sort of relearn all the mechanics if you're in the mood to do that. But it's like I want to say it's a pretty user-friendly UI, like when you're actually like in the combat and you're just playing it normally. After a while, things sort of start to highlight, and then you just know like, okay, I have to click like that directional button to start this boost attack, or like, okay, these arts are like full, I can start using them again. I will say that just because it had been so long since I had played a Tales game, there was sort of a longer like onboarding process for me in particular. But when you start getting things going like combos, which really, funnily enough, you can sort of get away early on with just button mashing, but there is something kind of satisfying about that too. It just all clicks, and then once you like move past the button mashing, because there are tiers, there's like the basic sort of fighting, and then you get into more advanced things where you start really thinking about perks and like really thinking about like, okay, if I have to reload this gun, maybe I should switch to another character real quick to keep this combo going. There's just so many different like avenues that you can that can be taken for like veteran players and new players as well. And it's sort of a slow burn, so you can sort of just chill out for a little bit, not really try to be super overwhelmed very early on. Just kind of enjoy the story, get through some of the smaller battles. And the first boss battle is like a major battle, and it's relatively difficult. But like, I don't know, it feels like the game holds your hand long enough and then lets you kind of go at the right moment, like after the prologue. And I was talking to Alex about this. The prologue is like, I was getting like Kingdom Hearts 2 vibes from it, where it's just like, I remember playing Kingdom Hearts 2 and then being like, wow, like this is an over exaggeration, but I'll be like, wow, I'm 20 hours in, like, huh, we're doing really good here. And then like the credits start and I'm just like, wait a minute, like that's the prologue. Like, you know what I mean? So you have enough time there to really sort of play around and understand the features and the inner workings of the game. And then later on, they'll sort of push newer mechanics into it that make fighting more nuanced and whatnot. And by that point, you'll be like, oh yeah, that sort of makes sense. I've kind of been wanting this for a long time. Makes sense why I have it now, because I'm so good at this other stuff already. So yeah,
there's difficulty options, if I remember, and I think you can change on the fly. So if I remember correctly when I was playing the demo, so like if you find that normal is just not doing it, you can put it down to easy, and I don't think you could get penalized for that at all.
No, not at all. Yeah. And you can also like put it on auto, so the characters will sort of like run around and like attack monsters on their own, and you can sort of sit back and just click the different Astro Arts and like make sure you're ready to hit some boost attacks and like some bigger combos. Cool. So yeah, so like you can have this sort of like laid back experience with it too.
I promise you, viewers and Rihanna, if I can figure this out, you can enjoy this game. I'm not kidding. I was 3 hours into the game and it was like 12 o'clock. I was tired, I was annoyed, and I texted Jay. I was like, how do I switch characters? I couldn't figure it out for the life of me. It was so dumb. And then it was just in a menu and you just select the different person. I don't know why it hit me, or I couldn't figure it out. But
yeah, as Jay was saying, those tutorials give you a lot, and as long as you go into there, if anytime you forget something, like it should be there to remind you and help you. And as he said, they're usually pretty good with onboarding and easing you in. I feel like the beginning chapters that I played was really letting you get a feel for those the two main characters, and then it kind of lets you, it introduces another one and so forth. And so, like I said, it's finding a character. If you find a character's play style that really fits well with yours, you can just hang on to them if you want and not really switch around. But if you're like me, who's just like, I get bored after a while and I need to change things up, like you can do that on the fly, and that makes it easy too.
For sure. Now, Mr. Guisao, you can save this, you can tease it, but do you have a review score? That you or do you want people to go to your review?
I can tease it. Sure. It is above a 9.
Above a 9.
Love it.
It is above
Love
a 9.
It. Wow. Beautiful.
Wow.
It's what this series needed, baby. Come on.
It is. I'm not gonna lie. It is.
The Halo series has been so stuck in a rut the last few entries that they really needed something big and impressive, like come out swinging, and it sounds like Arise did that, right, Jay?
Absolutely, for sure. I think personally, like this will probably go down as like one of the best entries in the franchise, and maybe like this sort of next evolutionary step for the franchise too. Like I almost feel bad for the next game that follows. I'm just like, what are they going to do? Like this has so much in it already. It's like, what are they going to do? But I'm also excited to see what they have.
Look at the smile. I'm so happy to hear this. I cannot wait to play it. And as I said, you probably won't hear from me for a while, but hey.
I don't blame you. No, yeah.
Hey, kitty.
See, that's what I miss about you being on the show is Pancake coming in hot.
So, hello, Pancake. Welcome.
Welcome to the GI show.
He's like, I'm done with you fools now.
Fair. I get it. So review should be on the site shortly. if not now when you're listening. So keep an eye out for that. Very exciting. We love when video games are good here, right? And this sounds like a damn good one. So speaking of damn good video games, let's talk about Life is Strange: True Colors, shall we? Kim,
yes, let's do
you reviewed it. You reviewed it for us. Lay it on us. What's Alex Chen up to? What's the Chen family doing? What's going on? Yeah.
Oh my god, we talked about it if you guys listened to our new gameplay today, but we talked about how much we like Alex Chen as a protagonist. And I am happy to say all 5 chapters ended that game. One of my favorite protagonists in years, and I am not even exaggerating that. That girl is amazing. I think Deck 9 wrote her to be very relatable, and I think what is so endearing about her as a character is she's got this, like, they get sarcasm with her right, you know, and that's hard to do with a character. So you got this girl who's sarcastic, and you laugh, but you can tell she's been through a lot in her life. And I think what's really inspiring about her as a character is that you get this sense that she's never lost hope, right? Despite having everything bad happen to her. She comes from the foster system. You start True Colors, going to a brand new town to live with your brother who you haven't seen, been in foster, a group home for 8 years now. And you're starting kind of the next chapter in your life, deciding what you want to do. Call it like your entrance into adulthood. I compare it to like when you graduate college and you're like, oh gosh, now I have to like figure out my life and what I'm going to do. And I think that's, you know, as somebody like Alex who never really had a home, she's searching to belong and trying to find that. And unfortunately, as we all know, her brother dies in a tragic accident. And
which this is a pet peeve of mine that I dealt with all day in the comments. Everyone is like, you spoiled this. I'm never going to touch this game now. They showed it in the advertising. All right, my guys and gals.
And it in every PR thing. It's the main.
It's the first thing. I am one of the most, you can ask my friends and family, I hate spoilers. Like I don't like spoiling things. I get no pleasure from spoiling things for other people or myself. Like I hate them. We go to painstaking lengths to avoid spoilers at GI. There's no spoilers in that. It's just a part.
The game is not the game. The game is not about, like, it is about grief and navigating that, but it is not about that one thing. And the journey is not her with just, you know, trying to contend with there's so much more going on than you guys even know. I will put it that way. And that is just like, you know, the smallest thread of what kind of leaves her, you know, on her journey of, you know, now she thought she had somebody in this town, and now she's back trying to figure things out alone. And I think what's really compelling is they handled her time in foster care very well and explore that throughout and the part of the fun, sorry, that's a weird way to word that. Let me put that. Part of the intrigue of the game is figuring out more about her past and her future. Like, and what's really interesting is that you get to pick a lot of what you envision for Alex for her future. And that's a choice that they put on the player. And I think it's an interesting one to make because it does feel like you have some control. And I think everybody will have different reasons for choosing different things for her, of like, you know, I was playing my choices very like honest in the beginning because I was like, this girl's been through so much. She doesn't need like to put on a front or be ashamed of it and just, you know, go into things. And I kept it that way too throughout it. But there's stuff that the game will challenge you with as you go on, especially her power of, it's tied to empathy, but I wouldn't call it, like they've been calling it the power of empathy, and it's not quite that. Like, you know, empathy is being able to understand other people's feelings, but she can also manipulate and take on people's feelings. And for me, the power is the thing that I love this game. It has great dialogue. The friendships that she forms, entering this small town, getting to know everybody is just so kind of exciting for Alex. And even as you as a player, of learning like, okay, this woman, you know, at the store, she's dealing with, you know, her issues, or this person at the bar, like they lost someone dear to them, and you can kind of uncover their backstories as much as you want by exploring, and that's really exciting. And it's also a small town, everybody knows everybody's business,
Yeah.
so you have to kind of deal with that. And like oh god, is it called Next Door, Alex? That
My
Yeah,
block.
it is.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, like they have a
I
theme
think
like
about
that.
the real life equivalent.
Yeah, the real
Sorry.
life one, but they have something like that where like the town is always posting and talking about what's going on about it. And I think it's an interesting dynamic to bring somebody who's felt very alone and unable to feel like they could count on anyone into a small town where they're just like, we protect everyone, we protect our people, you're one of our own. And you know, as Alex, you can choose to role play that as like, I don't know if I buy what you're selling. Are you really, looking out for me? And as you go on, but I think the game does really well. Like I said, the friendships, building up the towns and the people, and then you get to her power, and it felt to me like they didn't even need to give her a power because the story is so strong on its own, and you have this power that comes into play where she can hear people's thoughts and what they're thinking. So there's also just like, is it really empathy if you can like if you're getting a clue of what everybody's going through instead of getting them to tell you themselves? And so the only times that the power felt weird to me was when you get in these situations where you can choose to take on somebody's emotions, and that is part of empathy. There is an emotional toll that it takes on a person to be, to feel what someone else is feeling, and knowing if you have the emotional bandwidth to handle it. But there'll become times where it feels like the game doesn't even know what it wants to say with that. If you're taking somebody's anger who clearly needs to be processing that anger in some way to get to the next step of their journey or go through it, um it's like an ethical weird thing for me.
For real.
I'm going through it, and those situations feel weird because I didn't do it most of the time, and then the one time I did it, I like benefited from it, and I felt weird about it. Like, so
And does
for
the
me, I
game
want
address that sort of
there
that
are
issue? Or-
consequences to taking on other people's emotions, but it's not very they're not very
It doesn't
ex-
like derail the story,
yeah,
right?
exactly. And it's not very prominent, I will say. So I like the idea of having a character who's in touch with emotions and the way people feel around her, but it felt like they tried to make it a superpower where it didn't need to be a superpower. Her just sitting there and spending the time, or even just noticing, like, part of it is you will notice clues around. And I would have liked it better if it would have stuck to the clues of being like, something like you can tell that person's fidgeting a lot, like they must have something on there like that, if it was more in tune with actual empathy. But I felt like, because past Life is Strange games have had those supernatural abilities, it felt like they felt tied to putting something in there that was more with it. But I want to say that all with like, this story is fantastic. The characters like are so well done. There's lots of good twists. I really enjoyed it. Like, despite everything, like that's my one, and I say one, like kind of just like, they didn't really need to try to shoehorn in this ability here, because the writing is so fantastic. And oh my gosh, get ready for the waterworks, people, because it is, yes, it is so touching. And every episode, like, I will say the first episode or two was like, for me, I was just like, wow, this game's like, it's a lot. It's very heavy to dive into, and as you go into it, but you learned, like, that's what helps make you like so appreciative of Alex as a character. And as you go on and learn more about her past and kind of what her strengths are as a character, it really endears you to her. And she just has this amazing story that, like, I think everybody, regardless of the choices that you make and what you pick, and like I said, in the end, they have those choices come back to you, I feel, in a really interesting way, and satisfying way that doesn't feel like it was just down to like, I made X choice versus this choice, and that's my ending. Like, there's a lot of variations you can have between it. And I kind of appreciated that, because it really is more about the journey that you go on and where you want that journey to lead, and with Alex's future than with your choices, than it is about like making some like grand, this went from path A to B here and I ended up in this place versus this. So I think they did an excellent job with that. And I haven't liked a character like I like Alex. Like, I was trying to think about the other day, I'm like, am I hyping this up in my head? But I'm like, no, because I haven't thought of any character that just like you just have and the voice acting by Erica Moray is just like so well done. She puts a whole new level on it. And I mean, I was joking around with Alex yesterday. I'm like, I usually don't spend an entire paragraph in my review just praising one person's voice performance, but like it was there to that
She's
level.
incredible. Yeah.
It is just amazing.
I think it's well known that games like the Naughty Dog games have a mastery of voice acting, right? And I put this performance right up there with something like that, like the Hades voice acting from last year. Like, she gives an amazing performance that you feel is genuine, and humor is hard in games. It really is to nail it. And there are moments where I was like going from chuckling to laughing out loud while also feeling very, very sad in a couple of these
heart
moments.
Hurts because you care about her, and you care about Alex almost immediately, and that is a really huge feat, I feel like, in a video game, because so often we're just like introduced to a character and we're just like, I don't know, even for me, it's like I have to have my time to warm up, see if I'm really gonna like, and just like from the beginning, and to nail that sarcasm, like I said, sarcasm's really right out of the gate. They just do such a good job. So I'm trying really hard to keep this in generalities for everybody and just set it that like this tells a really good story, and I feel like they do a great job in the realism department of somebody who is going through a turning point in their life, right? And trying to decide what's next and having you be a part of that. And I think they did a great job. Like, I really enjoyed this game. I have no doubt that at the end of the year it will end up somewhere in my top 10. No doubt.
That's, once again, we got high praise going on.
I'm dying to play it.
I know. Well,
oh my
Alex,
God, I can't wait. You guys all have to text me with what you decide, and I will be there to soothe you through those hard moments.
Alan
Chapter
Wake
5
and
is a tearjerker. Just get ready, okay? That, I cried through that whole episode, and I don't think I've cried in a game since The Walking Dead, the first season. So I think this is the only one that got me. And this one, Walking Dead was sobs, where this was just more like, oh my God, I just feel for this. And maybe that's the point, empathy, right? Like, I felt for her, and I think they did a really good job with that. Also, as somebody who thinks there could always be a little more realism in the game, I did appreciate that every day you can change her outfit and wear something different.
Nice.
Yes. That is just, it's such a small thing, but you know what? It just, like, having like 5 options of what shirt I want to put on her, or skirt, jeans, whatever. Loved it. I'm like, she's not wearing the same thing every day. This is great.
Well, because you said that in one of our meetings, and I was like, okay, you have like 5 clothes to choose from, period. But no, it's different every day. You get 5 variations, or 6 or whatever it is, every day. So it's new looks. And so I like that a lot. I felt like that immersed me even more.
Yeah. And I just want to mention before, for people who really like, learning about the people in towns that they're exploring and the world and more about it, like, please go off the beaten path. There are so many things that I was like, I don't know if I should be going this way because the game's telling me to go that way. But I'm so glad I never listened, and just like, even just going into buildings that like you wouldn't think would even be open. Like, why would I go into the bar when there's a festival out or whatever? Go in, because you'll find certain characters and certain memories around the world, as Alex, that you can tap in with her ability into the memories, especially, and it gives you more backstory. And those stories with the characters, as you see them and talk to them, will evolve from episode to episode. So there's nice little like, oh, I'm getting to know that this couple's having an issue, they're fighting about this, or like, ooh, these two really like each other, will they or won't they? And then going through each episode and seeing how the dialogue progresses and how these little stories play out within the town. And they're purely optional. but they add a lot of depth to the game, and it makes you really feel attached to that small town. Because even like thinking back, I expected to hate the small town life just because I've not like I've just have that like little bit of like, I don't know, I don't even know why I'm saying this. I grew up in a suburb, but like well, what am I telling you about my life? But I just don't like people knowing everyone's business and being judgy and whatever. And like you do feel that a little bit with it, but then you start to like really grow attached to these people, and it makes a lot of stuff just you have that connection to it. And I think it goes to interesting places when choices do come up, and when you do have more things going on in the story to feel that attachment already, and then like try to decide what's right for Alex.
Yeah.
And she has some knockout songs that she sings. Radiohead's Creep cover.
Yes.
There's a lot of good ones. I don't want to spoil. They've talked about Radiohead Creep, so that's the one I'm just gonna leave it at that. Like there are more, and I think her singing voice
is her. I think
it's not. No, it's not the voice.
Oh, okay.
They got M. Let me see. I just want to get this right, guys.
Sure.
No, you're good. I'm gonna quick.
MXM Tune is the voice.
Oh, okay. Haven't heard of them. I want to add one more thing, but I'm curious, Riana. We talked about obviously different developer with Deck 9 versus forgive me, Don't Nod. Thank you. You have connections to these games. Like, have you played this yet, or if not, like, what is your level of hype at? Are you excited for this one?
I've not played it yet, and my level of hype is a 10, especially after hearing Kim's review, or preliminary review at least right now. So, Kim, I actually have a question for you. Yeah. I know when we were talking through the development and the release plan for Tell Me Why, there was a lot of back and forth about how we split up the episodic release, and specifically how much time in between are we going to force people to wait to experience each part of the story, because there was quite a bit of mystery solving and puzzle unlocking. Would you say that is a major factor in True Colors? Is there a real need to pause and process and step away, or do you feel like you could really choose to go all the way through without breaking?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. The game is written with like the cliffhangers that we have for the episodes, like you would play through it. So there's 5 chapters. I think for me, I didn't try to sit and consume it like as fast as possible. Like I actually did give myself, like I think I try to do an episode a day, and then just like, because it is heavy subject matter, and you do want to have some time to reflect on it. But do I think a lot of people will be able to just steamroll? I did it. I'll tell you, 4 and 5. I had to keep going, and I was so tired. But I was just like, now I have to see. So there's that feeling of play it. I like being able to decide what pace I'm gonna play at. I'm somebody who also enjoys like those cliffhangers and trying to like think, ooh, where's it gonna go? But I didn't feel like it took away from having it all up front. I felt like it just let me decide how I was gonna digest the content and what worked best for me. And I like that that they had it written with those cliffhangers in to keep you where it's like, if I want that and I want to just like end and just wait a little bit before I go into the next one, the option was there.
For sure. And now, Alex, you've already expressed your hype on this episode, but you have a bit of a personal connection to this game in its in where it takes place.
Yeah, that's actually one of the big reasons I'm excited for it. Other than all the other awesome stuff Kim has talked about, is the location. It takes place in Colorado, and Deck 9. Actually, I used to work in the same building as Deck 9.
That's so crazy.
Didn't know it until years later. But yeah, it's kind of like the locations. What's it called? Haven Springs. It's and just I haven't seen any press releases, but I can tell you just by looking at like the town, it's like this amalgamation of Telluride, Colorado, which is like this iconic, like almost like saloon town that like is wedged right in these massive peaks. It's really cool. And then there's like references to Boulder, which is where I'm from. I saw in the trailer like there's like this elk statue and there's like that's like a local story in Boulder that is very interesting, and yeah, there's like the tourism and stuff. It's just like I can't wait to. I've missed Colorado since I moved to Minneapolis, and I'm going to virtually, go there in some way through Life is Strange. So I'm stoked. Kayla's actually going to a work conference next week or this coming week, and my plan is while she's gone, just get some junk food, some comfort food, and play Life is Strange and some tissues.
Yeah,
and cry.
You'll need some tissues. Like
yeah, I'm very excited.
It's really well written though, and I can't not to be a broken record, but I really appreciate when a game just knocks that part out of the park, because these are complicated emotions that you're dealing with. You're dealing with a character who has this backstory that you have to take care with, and I felt like they did a really good job of making you understand the character and what she's been through, and still giving you a path to forge your own story within that, which I think is a very hard balance to have. And she has two good friends in this game, and their dialogue is just so great. Ryan and Steph, and they form this like little trio, and it's that fun of watching people as they become better and better friends, and the jokes just get better, the banter gets better as they go. They just like to give each other crap, but there's also this loyalty that you feel throughout it between them, and they'll be like, I just love that stuff when you can actually just buy into a relationship that's building and growing, and also putting into how important that is for Alex. I mean, just like, I'm an Alex Chen fan through and through. I will say that. I think you all are going to fall in love with her. It's a really, really strong protagonist.
For sure. And I think you've outlined this beautifully, Kim, but the thing I want to add from my experience with it, I'm through 3 chapters, is this really, and I can already feel some of the eye rolls, but like, this feels like a millennial story in that it hits on a lot of things that I think my generation and y'all's generation are dealing with, especially like imposter syndrome, not feeling like you belong necessarily, and trying to find peace in that. I have not played a game that really tackles that in a way that I've related to, and I genuinely think it helps that her name is Alex, and I don't know if you know this, but my name is Alex as well. So
whoa,
like, I know,
you said
right?
this so beautifully. I love it.
Thank you.
It's true though. Like, I always feel like I'm not going to be as eloquent as I want when we talk about games that you really like, because all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, how do I get the feelings that are in there out in the right way for everyone? So yeah, I'm glad you felt that way about it, because I think you're right. That is a big part of it. It really does have a lot of issues and things that are relatable to anyone, regardless of like what your background is. And I think that's where a lot of people will be really affected and connected to the narrative.
Yeah, and I don't mean to say, imposter syndrome is only a millennial issue, but like I feel like we're
just the best at it.
Yeah,
that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, that's big facts right there. But
I think too, there's other stuff that comes up later that you guys will know when you play, and you're like,
okay.
This speaks to a lot of what I think a lot of people go through.
Definitely.
In our age group, I will say.
Yeah.
Although I think I'm the way oldest here, so hey.
I don't think way. And the last thing I'll add is this, along with Psychonauts 2, I feel like has some of the best visualization for some of these really intense, really real mental illnesses that we encounter, and there are some extremely powerful visuals and scenes in this game that absolutely floored me and represent some of these mental illnesses in a way that I feel is very, very apt. So I love it. Like Kim, I've genuinely like shed tears during this. Like Last of Us 2 made me cry last year, but this one too.
And it's like, I cannot wait for you to finish, because I think even as you go through, you'll be like, wow, I was like, oh, this is really good going into, where you're at. And then it's like, oh damn, like
it just keeps going. Yeah,
it just keeps getting better. Like the writing keeps getting stronger, and like I said, I think it's really hard to pull off something like that, where you're telling an authored story but still giving the player a place to make their own decisions, and it'll all be satisfying in the end. And I think they really did a cool thing with how it all comes together, and I cannot wait for you all to see and play it. And feel free to tweet at me when you're done.
No spoilers though. No spoilers.
No spoilers. Don't be that.
Podcast@GameInformer.com if you want to talk about spoilers. I'll send it over. So thank you, Kim. Yeah, it was. I finished chapter 2, I think, and I was crying, and I went to the bedroom where my partner was, and she was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I just died in Halo. It's fine. I'm going to bed." So, Kim, what did you get at your reviews on the site?
I gave it an 8.5. Solid offering.
That is a beautiful score. Oh, I love it. I'm so happy. There's so many good games out right now.
That's what I'm saying. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Are we going to have time for anything else? I don't know.
Well, we literally have to. Speaking of not knowing if we have enough time, Alex Van Aken, you have been playing a silly little game yourself, correct?
Yeah, a very silly game. WarioWare, Get It Together on the Switch. I've played.
This is perfect.
I didn't review it, by the way. So I've only played 2 or 3 hours. But it's cool. If you're not familiar with WarioWare, it is essentially a collection of micro games that range from plucking the armpit hairs out of a bodybuilder to scooping cat litter, which I'm intimately familiar with in real life. And then I don't know, just name anything and it's in the game. Blending oranges in a blender. I don't know. Squirting ketchup on spaghetti. There's just all of these there's all these I don't even know how to talk about this game.
The Italian
okay?
in me can't handle that. I'm sorry.
It is. Oh, it was disgusting. It was revolting. But it's Wario and it works. This game is all over the place for better and for worse. I really enjoy this is I have ADHD and this is a game for my ADHD brain. It is just literally levels are 5 seconds long, if that. And then you're on to the next one. It's I messed that one up, but it's okay because I'm on to the next one already. And so it kind of works that Wario's and his friends are stuck in this digital world and they're making their own game or something. I don't really play this game for the plot. I don't know. But you are essentially as you go, you're collecting party members, right? And each party member has different characteristics and more importantly, restrictions. So Wario, he can kind of fly around on his jetpack and punch things. Another character they are always jumping up and down no matter what you do. And they can also fire essentially shurikens. Another person can't move unless they are firing a grappling hook to a certain location on the map. All of these weird restraints. And then you are given a randomly selected, based on a theme going into it, a randomly selected group of micro games. And it's okay, well, I might have played this micro game before previously, but I haven't played it with this character. And so the solution is slightly different. And that's better or worse sometimes. I think Ben Reeves said it well in his review on our site, is that, this game is only as strong as its weakest link. And there are certain mini games where you're oh, dang, I wish I didn't have this character right now because this is pretty much the worst character to have to do this mini game. And sometimes it doesn't really feel fair, but I can't deny the variety on display. And this game is just oh yeah, I'll just do one more world. It's kind of set up kind of like a 2D Mario game. And so you're going from node to node, which is represented usually by a new character and a new issue and theme. It's a cool game. It's my first WarioWare game since one of the originals on the DS. It's been a minute, but it's fun. It's good. I think Ben gave it a 7.75. There's a video version on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/GameInformer, and of course you can read the full review on GameInformer.com. But yeah, that's WarioWare. Any questions? I feel like I just let it all out there. I mean, it's a WarioWare game, right?
Is the music delightful?
It is. It's very funky and wonky, and definitely sells the tone of the game, which is very heavily comedic.
Favorite mini game?
Nature. Oh God. Favorite mini game is there are these floating grapes. It's actually a boss fight. There are floating grapes, and you have to shoot down the grapes into this basket, and the basket is segmented. And then you have to juice the grapes by smushing them, and then below there are like juice jars that you are trying to like put the juice into. But
the wine. Okay.
Yeah, the wine. Yeah, exactly. But if you waste too much juice, then the farmer guy gets angry at you and you lose. It's very weird. It's very dumb. Yeah, this game. I feel like this is like a fever dream. Like what the hell did I just say?
You never played this. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah.
but I dig
motion
it.
controls in the game?
I actually don't know. I didn't encounter any. I played everything on the Pro controller, and so if there were motion controls, I didn't see them, and I didn't see a prompt for them. There's a lot of menus too, and a lot of modes that you can unlock. But I've just played the main story, and I have not run into that. So, which seems like it seems like that would be a slam dunk for that kind of thing. But yeah, never was prompted. So.
This sounds like a prime co-op experience game running through some of these handoff controllers and stuff like that. Is there any of that in this, or am I thinking too much Mario Party? Okay.
No, definitely. You can play with up to 4 players in certain, I think it's like the variety mode. And they have like they have all sorts of different rule sets and stuff and mini games within that kind of, it's COVID. I didn't have 4 people over to play, and then there's also like a couple 2-on-2 modes where it's more of like almost like a Tetris multiplayer where like you're racing against each other and like seeing who can survive the longest, right? Okay. And you're playing the same mini game. But I did not feel like putting Kayla through that experience. So I did not test out the multiplayer, but yeah, I think Ben did, and he had an enjoyable time. So yeah, for what it's worth.
There we go. Well, we'll have to play together sometime.
We shall.
I think that sounds fun. Yeah, no, it sounds like it's so interesting, the breadth of games that come out on the same day on the 10th with something so serious like Life is Strange, something so goofy as WarioWare, and something so magical and mythical as Tales of Arise.
Yeah, I'm scared for this fall release. I'm just like looking at the workload. I'm like, this is essentially week 1 in the fall onslaught of games.
Yo, this is 2-a-days. Like, we're in training camp right now. Like,
yeah, right.
Hit, like the
big ones.
Yet. Oh my lord!
But I'm excited.
Yeah, as we say through our tears of like.
Yeah, and I still haven't even played like Psychonauts 2. I've been dying to play that, and I know Riana, you've been playing it. We'll hand it off to you.
God, that was a good segue.
Yeah, solid. I can say it very quickly. This is my game of the year.
Oh,
another game of the year.
Oh my goodness.
Game of the year.
Let's go.
Yeah, Psychonauts 2, there are great platforming moments. There are some open world elements. It rewards exploration. The writing is phenomenal. Music is incredible. Special guests and cameos, delightful. There are some really incredible depictions of mental health challenges, some of which were really cathartic to work through. At one point, I busted out into tears and had to go to my partner for a big hug. And then I went back and I solved it, and I had a real true moment of triumph, like personally in my own mental health journey. And I can't recommend it highly enough. Just everybody should play it, especially young people.
Yes. When we talked to Double Fine for our cover, they were very adamant that they were consulting the right people on some of these mental health issues.
Yeah, take this.org consultants and the right people.
Yeah, and that first game, I think, was a product of the times, right? I think it was a little bit more goofier approach to this. I don't think we were talking about mental health in the way we are now, and I think they really took that to heart, because some of these depictions could have gone south very quickly, I feel like, in today's, and in the conversation we're having today. And I feel, like I said earlier, I feel the same way about this as I do Life is Strange, where it's just some of the tasks that have you do in these worlds is they knock it out of the park.
It's so intriguing to me, because like on the surface, I look at this game, and if you were to tell me like it would handle mental health issues like gracefully and like in earnest. I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like,
it's also fun. Like, it gives you a common language to communicate about mental health challenges in a way that is not over burdensome or is not encumbersome, is not super heavy. Like, you can fight an enemy that's called a panic attack, and it really feels the way it feels to fight a panic attack.
Oh my God.
But you enjoy meeting that challenge and succeeding. It doesn't punch down. It doesn't look down on people who are struggling through addiction or alcoholism or post-traumatic stress. It really does celebrate the meeting of that challenge. And it does it in a way that is really, really good gameplay on top of everything else.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, especially coming from my preview where I was a little frustrated with the platforming. I think now that I've gotten my chance to really like explore this world, it's sunk in nice. There's a couple of moments where you're like, I hit that ledge. I know I did, but you know, it's not enough.
Not bitter.
No, never bitter, my friend. But the checkpoint system in it is really good. In the main world, I haven't experienced a ton of it in the boss levels. That's not a humble brag, I promise. It's just the bosses I haven't died a ton in them. And yeah, Riana, I'm with you. I think this is my game of the year. Resident Evil was until this point, but there's a magic to it that, like, you know how we talk about Ratchet and Clank having like that Pixar magic a little bit? I feel like that's 100%. There in this as well. And you know, I loved Ratchet's. I think I said it in my top 3 this year. I love that game, but this Psychonauts feels like even more of a, like, Ratchet felt like a vision of like what the future is going to be and what the present is, right? With how amazing those animations and graphics are. Where Psychonauts felt like the best version of some of those past platformers that we had, and in a story that fit today. And I am so enamored with it. I haven't beaten it yet because I tweeted it about a little while ago. I was like, I can't bring myself to beat it because then it's done. And when I beat a game, it's like
you can explore once it's done. Like, you can go back, and there are some Metroidvania elements where, you know, you gain different powers throughout your playthrough, and you can go back to previous mines and previous levels and gain access to new collectibles. So you can finish it safely and still explore the world.
True. Yeah, it's a weird dumb guy thing for me where it's like I just, once I beat a game and like I get the achievements that I'm close on, I'm just like, I'm on to the next one. So, but this is such a delightful world, and Riana, you hit the nail on the head with it. It is so.
You two aren't
good.
The only ones I've heard call it game of the year, but I hadn't heard somebody describe some of of its themes in particular, like Riana has, and. Yeah, dang. I think I need to play this because like Celeste was one of those games for me back in 2018 that it was my game of the year that year. I just felt like it handled like some of those themes with like I said, like with Life is Strange, like gracefully. And man, this is like I still can't get over like the package that this is in. Like, it looks so wacky and zany. But to hear it's like so hard. Yeah. I can't wait to play it. It sounds awesome.
Yeah, we have a review on the site if you're curious. Reiner loved it. I think gave it a 9. Yeah. It deserves it. And man, what a good time. So, but unfortunately, friends, we've made a mess of this place. So let's take a break, and then we'll get to some housekeeping.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Game Informer Show. Before we get into the community emails, we're going to go through some housekeeping, just some quick announcements, and some things you should stay up to date on in the Game Informer world. First off, we always start off housekeeping with a new podcast review. If you're kind enough to go and leave a review, an honest review on Apple Podcasts, and tell us what you think about the show, we're going to read it off and say thank you, because that helps us and we appreciate it. This week's is a 5-star review by Matt Parsa. Matt says, every week on Friday, in parentheses, I'm in Australia, I start my day by listening to these folks chatting about video games and combining very friendly environment. Oh, sorry. They didn't have a typo. I had a typo when I transferred. I apologize. I like listening to these folks chatting and video games and combining a very friendly environment and informing you about the latest news about video games and the review discussions. I love this crew, old and new. Everyone is killing it, but I have to say the real MVP of this podcast, and don't let him hear this, all right, is the host off the host of the show, Blake Hester. For real though, you do yourself a favor and listen to this show. So nobody tell Blake about that.
Yeah, please. His ego's already too big. I can't. Don't.
Thank you, Matt, for writing in and leaving that review, and thank you for bearing with me while I read that. Upcoming Twitch streams Thursday. That is the day we are streaming every single week, no matter what week. You can go 2 p.m. Central Thursdays, twitch.tv/Game Informer. Alex, what are we streaming this week?
We got a big one, Mr. Van Aken. We got a little double feature here for you, a little grindhouse action. Ready for this? Bada bang, bada boom. First up, Tales of Arise, 1 p.m. Central. Be there or be square. Speaking
earlier than usual.
Earlier. You want to know why?
Why?
Because the Council of Alex is reuniting yet again. And we're taking on the big boys at Sony. That's right. PlayStation Showcase, 3 p.m. Central. We're doing a watch along. We're losing our mind to we don't know what's going to be there, but hopefully Horizon.
I told you, it's Sly Cooper. He's back.
Bro, if you're right, like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Very happy, yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
Very happy too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would.
Did you see, I don't know if y'all were playing Iki Island for Ghost of Tsushima, but did you see they had like a mural to Sly in it?
No,
it's
I
so
didn't.
good. Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we're doing a double feature. Be sure to come check it out. 1 p.m. Central Time we're starting, and then we're just going to roll right into PlayStation.
Cool. Sounds good. Notable YouTube videos to check out this week over at youtube.com/Game Informer is game review season. And there are a lot of game reviews that are going to be coming out. And so there are going to be a lot of videos coming out of the Game Informer YouTube channel. We've got, I think we've got a lot planned. We're going to try to do all the big ones. So if you prefer watching those than reading, then we got you covered. Go ahead and subscribe, youtube.com/Game Informer. And then we also, last week we introduced on this podcast, a new community segment called Heat Map. You all wrote in some very spicy but tasteful takes about video games, and did not disappoint. And we pulled that out. If you missed it last week, you just want to see that portion, it's up on the YouTube channel, so go check that out. And lastly, follow everybody, all of our amazing guests, Riana, at Riana Tweets Now. Have you changed it, or is that still it?
No, that's it. That's gonna
be
it.
Hell yeah. The consistency, I love it. At Riana Tweets Now. Go follow Riana for all of the G4 awesomeness and just her personal updates on Twitter. You can follow Alex Stadnik at Stadnik76, STUDNIK76. You can follow Jay at Jason _Guisao, GUISAO. And you can follow Kimberly Wallace, aka K-Star, aka Kim, at Kstar1785. And lastly, if you really want to make that life choice, you can follow me at It's Van Aken. Alex, take it away. Listener emails.
I promise you, it is worth it to follow this man.
Listen, did you see my tweet today? Did you see it? I was like, oh, I'm gonna be famous after this one. I said it's actually pronounced Bon Ivermectin. Get it?
Oh no. All right. Well, can you edit that out when you?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, folks. Listener emails. You know it. You love it. If you are looking at us and me like, I gotta ask them something. I got this burning question. We got you. Podcast@GameInformer.com. Send us everything. Send us. I'm gonna pull Ben Reeves here. Send us your dreams. Send us your questions. Send us your favorite grandma's recipe. I don't know. Send us whatever you want.
I would love those.
That would be great, actually. Yeah, please send those. Please send those over. And y'all sent us some really awesome hot takes this week that we want to make sure it's special, doesn't lose its sheen, right? So we're gonna probably space it out a little bit. So, but don't worry. Well, I got them. Don't you worry. So, but this week we also got some really great listener emails and also Discord questions. We're also accepting questions for the podcast over on our Discord. And Alex, remind me. I'm getting a little fuzzy. How do you get to our Discord?
Well, if you have Amazon Prime, you have Twitch Prime. You can use it to support any streamer on Twitch. Doesn't have to be us, but if you'd like to support us, that will get you access. If you're a subscriber on our Twitch channel, then you get access to the Discord, and we keep that behind a paywall just to kind of keep it a safe space and keep the trolls out. So we thank you for your patience, and you can just, if you subscribe once, it doesn't have to be a monthly thing. Subscribe once, and you get access to it forever. So thank you for understanding, and you can put your questions there.
Yeah, and it's September too, so I don't,
cheaper too, I think.
Yeah, I think so. So, anyways, without further ado, first one, Matt from near Philly writes in and says, "Hi, Alex's. With it being Labor Day, what characters need a day off the most?" Short, simple, sweet, and to the point. Does anyone want to go first with this one, or should I call names?
Please don't call names. Please don't be like that teacher in class who you're like, please don't call on me.
Finding like the least like prepared one. Oh yeah.
I have an answer.
You got one? All right, hit us.
Please.
Yeah. As some of you may know, I've been playing a lot of Hades lately, and Zagreus, dear Lord, needs a fucking break.
Yeah.
Poor kid. He gets 3 breaths of fresh air, and that's it.
Poor guy.
Without getting into spoilers, that moment, I was just like, "Are you kidding me? This is how they're gonna do this, man? Oh my goodness!"
Yep. Another Kingdom Hearts 2 moment where it's like, "Oh, took me forever." Yeah.
Hey, can you just be on this show all the time? Because you keep bringing up Kingdom Hearts in my heart. I just
for sure.
He's putting the J in JRPG. Everybody, I love it.
Oh my gosh, that should be the new thing. What?
Yeah, that's
your show. Oh my god,
this is mine now, baby.
Yo, Ryan, if you're listening,
I'm taking over.
Yeah. That's incredible. Oh, I love that. That's a good call. Zag definitely needs a break. I'll go on this one. The grumpy daddy himself, aka Kratos. That man reaps what he sows. Let's be very clear. He's a bad person. Kratos is a bad person. Let's just let's call a spade a spade.
He needs a day off for everybody else's sake.
Yeah.
For real, yeah. All of Greece and now I almost said Norway, but yeah, they all need a break. But man, he just even like now in this new God of War world, he just is tired and he just can't. This isn't a spoiler because it starts the game this way, but like his wife's dead, his kid's annoying, like the gods won't leave him alone.
Wow.
He just
Shout
needs
out to boy.
The man needs to go to Egypt or one of the other realms. Just take a vacation, take a break.
Oh yes, the 10th realm, Egypt.
Hey now. And I just, I think, I think this man needs a bubble bath and a pedicure, because I think if he had these two things, he would chill. He would just relax, and life would be good. But I don't know if he's getting either of those. So
fair.
I wish he would. Maybe at this point tomorrow we already know what he's getting. Hopefully, please, God of War 2. Anyways, Kim, do you have one, or should I go to Mr. Van Aken?
I think Ms. Croft, right? Like, she's had to deal with a lot. And I feel like a lot of near death. I guess Nathan Drake it's a similar Nathan Drake syndrome, but he finally got his rest, I feel like, in the end. He's now retired, we'll call it, or whatever, but she's still going.
Yeah. She takes some brutal hits in the Crystal Dynamics
exactly.
Absolutely.
Brutal. Yeah. I cannot handle those game over screens, man. Like, it's brutal. You feel for the girl. So that would probably be my vote. I was trying to think of something like witty, but I just kept coming back to those death screens, and I was like, no.
Yeah, that is fair.
Leave her alone.
Poor girl. Poor girl. Lots of yeah.
Mine is gonna be Sonic, because this damn hedgehog is in every damn game. He's riding horses. He's running fast. He's on the big screen now. Like,
can you go to the Olympics too?
Yeah, he went to the Olympics.
Right.
I'm pretty sure. I would not be surprised. I'm pulling this out of my ass. Is he a Dead by Daylight now? Like, is he a skin or something? That's not true. That's not true. There was some game recently. It might have been like Phantasy Star. I don't know. Some off the wall thing where there's a Sonic skin. And I'm like,
well,
what
it would
is
make
happening?
sense because Sega owns Phantasy Star, so
yeah,
that might be what you're thinking of.
He's gonna be in Super Monkey Ball, which fits.
Oh,
maybe that was.
I gotta look up just to make sure. Dead by Daylight wasn't something that was happening.
It's not. He's in Smash. Like, give the dude a break.
He's lucky he got in Smash, to be honest with you. With a corn dog.
He's got a good ultimate in Smash. I like
chili dog, my God.
That's what he eats. Chili cheese dog.
Oh my god, that's incredible.
Oh yeah.
You're a legend. You know that?
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, I don't even know where we go from there. Matt,
how about the next question?
Yeah, how about that? Matt from Near Philly, thank you so much.
Wait, Jay doesn't have one?
Oh, I mean, shoot, Jay.
Sorry,
sorry.
you went, Jay. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I can go. I was gonna do a
no,
JRPG.
please.
Jay
Okay, sweet.
RPG.
Yeah, hit it.
Exactly. Yeah, you know, I play my character well here. I was gonna go with Tifa. All right, Tifa works a bar by herself in an overpopulated area. All right, she's also like the pseudo co-leader of an eco-terrorist group. Okay, so she has to carry out missions all the time and put her life on the line. And then the most important one, her actual like the hardest full-time job she has, she's Cloud's best friend. All right, that's a lot.
That's a lot of emotional weight.
Exactly, it's a lot. Yeah, so I'm thinking Tifa needs a day off, and I feel like Tifa's day off is probably just just in the gym. Maybe I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like her day off is her just working in a different kind of way. You know what I mean? But
okay,
maybe a good audiobook, on the treadmill.
Hey, that sounds good. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Imagine her in front of the punching bag, just imagining Cloud.
Exactly.
Work it!
No, but yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna be honest. If next Final Fantasy remake is just Aerith and Tifa, like they just forgot Cloud in the rubble, I'm okay with that. Life is good.
Absolutely.
I love it, Jay. I am so sorry.
No worries, dude.
I'll let you start. I'll let you start with this next one. How about that?
Sure.
This is from Cheesy Luigi over on Discord. Shout out to Cheesy.
Easy.
Holding this down on Twitch and in Discord. We appreciate you. How has your taste in games changed over the years? As I've gotten older, I've come to appreciate shorter, more narrative-focused experiences, for example. Also, what games maybe led you to that realization of your taste changing? Jay, do you have a answer for Mr. Luigi?
Yeah. I think they bring up a good point. Early on I was really into narrative games. Obviously, I'm still into narrative games. I'm into JRPGs and stuff. But something I've been preferring just recently after playing games like Siege and like Overwatch, PUBG, just like first-person shooters with just like the little bit of lore added in. Because I mean, stories can be exhausting sometimes, So like, I think recently, yeah. I mean, as we all know, I play a lot of Apex Legends, you know what I mean? And I can get that lore, I can get that story from a YouTube video, but all I need, is some good ammo, like my favorite weapons, and then I just roll around and just take out entire lobbies, and that's good enough for me. I mean, like that's like 1% of the time, but you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I've been preferring recently just shooters for the most part. Yeah, I've been enjoying just being competitive. And sort of testing my skills out on other people. So yeah.
And I feel the need to say this every time Jay brings up Apex because he is so meek and humble. He's top 500. He's top 500. I'm just testing out some weapons. Nah, you are slaying on the battlefield. I'm just trying out the Mozambique today. No, you have mastered that gun. It is your weapon.
His instrument.
At least thank you. His instrument. And you're playing it damn well.
Jay, what do you mean?
Incredible.
What do you mean, Jay?
Right now I main Loba, but I was a top Watson player for a long time. Watson is still has the biggest portion of my heart for sure. I think she's amazing. And she's so sweet, and it's so much fun like hearing her like giggle as she decimates entire teams on the field. It's fantastic. But yeah, hopefully if any Respawn devs are watching this, buff Watson so I can come back, please. Thank you. But yeah.
The man has spoken.
Rihanna, you play too, right? If I'm not mistaken. Or used to?
Yeah. I play
we gotta play. We got to play. Well, there it is. That's it. We're playing right now. That's what we've been doing. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
You didn't even notice we're that good.
Exactly.
Just running up wins. I like it. Rihanna, do you have an answer to this? What how's your taste changed in the last couple of years?
Yeah, I like many working 30-somethings have less time to play games than I did when I was in my formative years. And the Destiny 2s, I really do love keeping up with the meta, grinding all the time, doing the open world stuff, going from PvE collecting raids into PvP and owning, but I just don't have time to keep up with them. So I am pivoting a lot like our writer here to narrative-driven games, shorter stories, more contained lore. I do enjoy the lore in Apex. I actually just bought one of the comics.
Hell yeah.
As the background stories, but I prefer to get my story fixed like in pieces. You know, like the episodic games are my jam. I probably would play True Colors with breaks in between just because I need to. So yeah, that's pretty much how it's been moving. And I will drop into a game like Apex because you can drop in and drop out without a lot of commitment.
Exactly. Beautiful. Yeah. Cam, how about you? Have you changed over the last couple of years?
Well, I don't know if it's changed, but here's a little K-Star history for you. As I grew up, all I played was RPGs, as you know. Like, I loved just having a game, focusing on it, sitting there with my damn strategy guide, making sure I got every little thing, like total completionist. And RPGs came out like at a fast enough rate where I never had to look at really any other genres. I mean, don't get me wrong, I played my platformers, I played sports games and all that. But as I've gotten older, so for the longest time my friends would just joke around and like, she doesn't play anything else. She's just that, like, that's the only genre you'll ever see Kim like play. And I'm proud of myself because I think in the last I would say PS3, Xbox 360 era is when I started playing, and it's why I suck at them because like I have not been playing them for very long, but like well, now it's long because I still suck at them, but that's okay. It's all about fun. But I like now different experiences that not everything is, and I still love my 50 to 80 hour RPGs, and I will still have that compulsion to be a completionist, even though I've gotten better because I've had to for my job to do things. But I like as shorter contained experiences. I think I got really back into sports games within the last decade because I like to jump in, play a quick game and jump out. I know it surprised a lot of people when I got really into Overwatch just because it wasn't a Kim game at the time, and like no one thought that I would end up putting like the amount of hours I did into that. And so I feel like as the years have gone on, I've just expanded the genres I play and kind of my tastes. And, it got me into playing things that I think I wouldn't have even touched beforehand. And now, like, Death's Door, for instance, I was just playing that the other. I don't think that was a game I would have, really invested in years ago, or even like Hades to me would have seemed scary just because I don't like that rogue light experience and usually, but I think it's more variety these days. Spice of life of wanting a little bit. I realized you can't just play RPGs all the time, even though in my world that sounds great too, but it is nice to have like little like the narrative driven games. Like I really enjoyed playing through True Colors recently just because it was like nice to just be able to sit down, just know I'm going to sit here, really get invested in this character, follow the story, make some dialogue choices, and that not having to focus on like everything else that's going on, just focus on the story that you sometimes have to do when you play other games. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Mr. Van Aken.
Yeah, like Jay and Ree said, multiplayer games have always been my staple, just that consistent experience that I can always jump into, even if it's for 30 minutes and have a great time. I think lately, just between work and a lot of stuff personally, I haven't had time really to even do that. It's mostly just been playing games for work. But I mean, even in that, I've really enjoyed this is very recently. Just more of the when I have time playing games that maybe aren't always gonna be the greatest, but do something interesting. I think, many years ago, I was, the Call of Duty, the Madden, the AAA games that, that's what I stuck to. And if it, Assassin's Creed, even I can't even imagine finishing Assassin's Creed nowadays, but I used to.
Or even longer nowadays. So.
I know. And that's what I did. And I just stuck to those like those main releases. And now I much prefer like the last 2 weeks I've really been enjoying like Outer Wilds, for instance. And that is a game that is incredible, but like took a risk and did something interesting. And even like, 12 minutes earlier last month, it wasn't really my jam. Didn't really enjoy it. But I'm glad that I played it and, saw something new and interesting. So that's kind of like that's how I've changed, I guess, is taking those risks, especially if they're like smaller experiences, and just trying to, try weird stuff. I'm really excited for Deathloop when it comes out. Like next week? Like
that's
game,
next week?
It's next week.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a massive Arcane fan, but they always do, because they do weird stuff. And I would,
weird.
Yeah. And in fact, like Dishonored 1, I bounced off of it, like, cause it came out and I was not that sort of gamer back then, but now like Dishonored 2 is one of my favorite games and I can't wait for Deathloop. So yeah, that's a long answer to what should have been a short answer, but there you go.
You see how long mine was? You're fine.
Yeah. No, y'all given wonderful answers. Yeah, for me, if you've listened to the show, I've talked about why open worlds have kind of lost me recently. I like games that respect my time. Not saying the Assassin's Creeds are malicious in how they handle that kind of stuff, right? But it's just, to me, it's like I can't keep doing these towers, these fetch quests, like that kind of stuff. That's just I don't have time anymore. I think the genre that has hit me the most and has become one of my favorites outside of shooters is Metroidvanias. I didn't grow up with them. I didn't play Super Metroid till last year, I don't think.
What?
Maybe 2 years ago. But Will-O-the-Wisps Ori is one of my favorite games of all time. I think it is one of the most beautiful, highly polished, well-crafted experiences we have in the medium. Hollow Knight's incredible. Guacamelee is underrated at this point. I think Guacamelee 1 and 2 are fantastic games. And it feels like we're getting a ton of them this year. I'm excited. I want to try Fist, the PS4, PS5 exclusive one where you play as the anthropomorphic rabbit, just run and show with his giant fist or whatever. And obviously, a little game called Metroid Dread, less than a month away now. Can't wait. I've been playing Samus Returns on my 3DS and it's so good. And I know people I think we're starting to get in the battle royale territory. It's like, do we really need another one of these? Yes, I'm coming. They're wonderful. Keep bringing them on. And there's a lot to be excited about in that genre. But yeah, I really, I grew up with sports games, shooters, and licensed games, and the Metroidvanias have really just not encapsulated, but it engaged me in a way that they hadn't before. So yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. Last one, and then we're all gonna go to bed.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is from Judon Kadonk on Discord. I think I said that right. What are some of your second chance games? I am playing Final Fantasy 13 for the second time. Did not like it at launch, but for some reason really enjoy it now. Keep up the swag. You better believe it. So, Mr. Van Aken, do you want to kick us off here?
Yeah. Second chance games. God, mine. I'm the type of person I don't really give things, games in particular, second chances. I usually bounce off of them. Man, I've tried. It's funny that they brought up Final Fantasy 13. I've tried 14 a couple times, and I still feel I've given that one a second chance, but it just hasn't clicked. But I kind of want to give it a third chance because everybody always raves about it. But yeah, you might want to come back to me because I can't really think of an answer right now.
I was wondering if that was going somewhere. Yeah,
I was vamping.
Can I cheat and do series?
Yeah.
Okay, so for a long time, I'm really into games that are from Japan, and every time I'd go to Japan, whatever, Monster Hunter series, right? Everywhere. And I so badly wanted to get into it. And I remember, God, one year, me and Tim Turi, I remember, who previously worked at Game Informer and now is at Sony PlayStation. We were like, we got Capcom. We're like, we're going to really get into this. Like, let's form like parties and stuff. It was for one that it was on, I want to say the 3DS. And like, I tried so hard and I was just like, I just can't with this. Like the controls, and I know I sound like that girl, and everybody who is a really big fan's rolling their eyes right now. I get it. But then Monster Hunter World came out and I was like, you know what? I'm worried it's gonna go the same way it's always gone, because there were like 2 or 3 times before that I tried to get in the series, but it's like, you know what? I had a friend who was like, Kim, we'll play together. I'll show you the ropes. Like, don't worry about it. Cause that's really overwhelming. And I freaking fell in love. And I think that game ended up, I was looking the other day, like I've put over 500 hours into it easily. I just booted it up like not too long ago too with and then Rise obviously came out and I played some of that, but like now I love that damn series and I understand what everybody was talking about, but it took me a long time to get there, and it was about too like finding the right weapon. I think it took me some time. Like I like the light bowgun, which a lot of people don't really use, but I love that thing. It is like so fun. But yeah, it took me some time, and I think that was me. I'm glad I didn't give up on it, because it ended up being that like happy game I would go to play with friends, co-op, and ended up being so much fun and giving that rush. But boy, it took 3 or 4 tries at the series of different games before I finally saw the magic.
Yeah.
And now I'll never go back.
Can't make me.
I have my answer now. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, no. Okay. No.
Yeah, I thought of it earlier and then I had a total brain fart, but I'm good now. I wrote it down. Hitman. I love Hitman games since the kind of the rebirth of the I forget what they call this trilogy, but the World of Assassination trilogy. That's the newest one. So Hitman 1, 2, and the one that just released this year, 3. Love those games. But back in the day, Hitman Blood Money and Hitman Absolution, I tried both of them, and nowadays I can look back and really appreciate them. But at the time, I was going into them impatient and almost playing it like one of those older licensed like James Bond games where I'm just like rolling through, just trying to just shoot everybody. And if you've played Hitman, that is not how you play Hitman. And yeah, so I just bounced off of those. I was like, this game is too hard. But now that I've slowed my roll, and kind of, once you learn those games and you take the time to learn the rules, it's really rewarding. And they're really puzzle games at the end of the day. They're not, third person shooter games like I originally thought they were as a teenager. So yeah, that's probably the best example of a second chance series for me is Hitman. Man, if you haven't played Hitman 3 from earlier this year, it is so good. Go play it.
I'm worried that's going to get lost in the shuffle, especially with how thick the end of the year is. I think that was a really great experience, but I think people are going to forget about it because it came out in what, February, January?
Yeah,
January,
something like that. So
yeah,
Mr. Guisao, how about you?
Sure. Oh man, this one's hard for me. I'm kind of like AVA, where it's like I don't really give games a second chance either, but I think I've been sticking with JRPGs all night, so I'm going to stick with that. I will say, yeah, right? I will say when I was younger, Final Fantasy games were just a little too advanced for me. I loved the idea of being into Final Fantasy. I loved the music. I don't normally go around telling people this, but my first step into the Final Fantasy VII world was through Advent Children. I just watched the movie. Yeah, I know, right? I just watched the movie, and so I was kind of like a fake Final Fantasy fan for a while there before the
you think that's bad. My first one was Crystal Chronicles on the GameCube.
Oh.
So I feel you on that. Although I never became a Final Fantasy fan. You did though, so I think you chose the right path.
I was gonna say I learned about Cloud through Kingdom Hearts, so we all have our demons. We all have
right? No, it's just really interesting. One of my favorite Final Fantasies, Final Fantasy 12. I remember my uncle bought me that game, and I remember watching that opening cinematic. It's I don't know, it was 15 minutes. I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then I just didn't know how to play it, so I sold it. Back to GameStop back in the day. And I don't know, I just think about that now and just how playing Zodiac Age and how I just love these games now. But back in the day, I would play a Final Fantasy for 3 seconds and be like, this music is great, but I can't play this, So I guess that would be me giving the whole franchise a second chance. And it's just really interesting that the person who wrote in, talked about Final Fantasy 13. Like, I also wasn't a huge fan when it first came out. I remember I wasn't very good at it, so I like modded it on a USB, threw it on my 360, and ended up beating that final boss in 30 seconds for the achievement. Yeah, it was ridiculous. But like, I remember going back and playing it. Like, I won't get in trouble for that, right? I don't know how that works. But anyway,
oh, you're going away. Yeah, you're done, dude.
Coming right now. But no, yeah,
Eating on his achievos, man. Whew.
Exactly. No, yeah.
You're in gamer jail.
For sure. It was hard for me to say this to all the Final Fantasy fans out there. Advent Children was hard enough, but that's me really that's me really putting my whole self out there,
Yeah,
so,
getting it off your chest.
Do with it what you will. But
this is the start of your new life, Jay.
You're so lucky Dan Tack is not here.
Exactly right. I can't even go through the comments for this one, guys. Like, I'm just gonna stay away from this one. But
smart. That's smart.
But going back to 13, I was playing it like a couple months back, and I mean, it's still, in my opinion, obviously not the best, but like, man, those graphics still pretty good, man.
I mean, that's what they spent all the money on. So
that's exactly right. Exactly, no, for sure. And I do like Lightning for the most part. She's a pretty badass character. But yeah, so where I am now, I'm happy that I gave the franchise a second chance, or else I wouldn't be JRPG. So there you go.
I love that so much.
I love it.
Yeah. Rihanna, how about you?
It's really tough. I've had the most time to think, and I still don't have a good answer. I mean, shout out to Final Fantasy VII Remake, because I had never thought about touching a Final Fantasy game until then. And huge fan of that, spent a lot of hours in it, did not finish it. But I do have a set of Buster Sword Ice trays that are on their way right now.
Awesome.
Nice.
So I'm fully bought in at this point, thanks to that remake. But the best thing I can really think of as a genre, I absolutely hated the concept, like the ethos of a roguelike before Hades. Mm-hmm. I didn't like anything at all to do with the idea of losing all of my stuff and progress and customizations every time I go through an experience. It sounded like the antithesis of what I like about gaming. Mm-hmm. Like, I like building a character. I like customizing and tweaking my setup and like what my moveset is, my weapons loadout. Like, I love fine tuning. That's the min-maxing of it is part of what is really my jam. And yeah, Hades just hit different. I don't know what it did.
No, it was the same for me. Everything you're saying is the same thing. When I played that game, I did not expect to like it like I did at all. It just because it's against everything, same way you are, and it gets you.
Yeah, it did. It got me. Everyone's hot as hell.
Yeah, that helps. That certainly helps.
Yeah. And like, I'm like 80 something runs in, and I'm like, okay, so I'll just do a couple more tonight before I go to bed. Like it's
one more run
in my dailies now.
That's awesome.
I just love being in that world, and there's still so much story to unlock, and there's still things that I don't know the ending to, and that's wild to me because I've technically beat the game 79 times.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, 79?
I have a lot of escapes, Alex. It's
that's awesome. That's dedication right there. Yeah.
Top 500 Hades player right here.
Oh, here we go.
I still don't know what's going on with Nixon Chaos. I'm trying to figure that shit out. They're taking forever.
For real, yeah. Yeah, I just remember last year because that came out on Switch around the same time the Mario collection did on Switch, and I was like, the weekend's here. I'm gonna dive into that nostalgia with Mario or with Galaxy especially too. I didn't play a second of it because I was just doing runs in Hades. I was like, this is incredible. Sorry, not to make this a Hades podcast, but actually
so
maybe
good.
we should.
We should.
Part of the new era right there. I'll regale you quick and then we'll get out of here. My mind went to two different ones. I think Hollow Knight, which I mentioned earlier, I bounced off of the first time because it was too hard in the beginning for me. I wasn't committed to what that game was asking from me and the Souls-like elements of it. And then this year I went back to it. I was like, it was in the summer. Skyward Sword wasn't really grabbing me. I wasn't really playing a ton on Switch. And I was like, it's just, he's just looking at me on my Switch menu. I was like, all right, I'm gonna give this another shot. And I think I got through the first 10 hours of it in my first playthrough, and I got through the first 10 hours in like a day. I was like, okay, this is fully grabbing me now. And I mean, but what a beautiful almost serene, even though it's not, because it's very like, you know, everything's out to kill you in it. But like, there's a certain not ambiance, what's the word? Atmosphere to that game that it is absolutely incredible, and the combat is so good. And I haven't beaten it yet, but I just keep plugging away at it, and I love it so much now. So
one of the best character designs out there.
Yeah, for
just
real.
Looks good on everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And it's like, it's funny. Silk Song, I feel like, is one of the things, especially when it comes to like a Nintendo Indie Direct, where everyone's like, it's gonna be here this time, right? It has to be. But now I get it, right? Now it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I do want this, that, and Sports Story. Like, give me these. Like, come on. So yeah, go check out Hollow Knight if you haven't yet. But I think I don't know how many people I know who haven't played that yet. There's a lot of negatives in that, but anyways, it's the end of the night, folks. We're gonna call that an episode, I think. Riana, thank you so much for joining us. This has been one of my favorite podcasts I've been a part of. Do you have anything to plug before we say goodbye?
Yeah, check out G4 on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. We have a TikTok as well. There's some questionable things on there, but luckily I don't have to take responsibility for most of them. And as Alex mentioned before, you can follow me on Twitter, Riana Tweets Now. That's RIANA Tweets Now.
Beautiful. And GI crew, thanks for staying up and rocking with me. I appreciate it. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Check out the magazine, for goodness sake. You know, that's how we keep the lights on. And we have some of the best written work in the gaming industry in that and online. So definitely check that out. You know the drill. You know the damn thing at this point. But thank you. We appreciate you watching. Be good to one another, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.